everyone, and welcome back to PÖFF TV. My name is Päike Triinu Tamm, and we are back right in the heart of Black Nights Film Festival 2024. Today I have here in the studio with me Estonian filmmaker Helen Takkin, who is gonna talk about her film Life and Love, which is based on Estonian writers Anton Hansen Tammsaare's same-named novel. So let's give a warm welcome to our guest Helen Takkin. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, I guess.
Okay, it's good. And how has the festival been for you so far?
Honestly, yesterday was my first day because I was with the film. I was in New York for the New York Baltic Film Festival, and we were showing the film there. And I got back, and then I saw my first films yesterday.
Okay, I think being in New York is quite a good excuse to be absent for first day. So. For starters, maybe you can tell me what inspired you to make a film based on Tammsaare's book, Life and Love? Because, I mean, when you take a book and you try to make it a film, you already have some kind of rules or some kind of topics you definitely have to discover not to lose the point. So where did this idea come from?
Well, it didn't come from me, actually. It came from the producers. So Christian Taska approached me with the book, and I read it. And I felt that it's one of these stories that's something that I want to tell. And it's a type of story that I would like to tell. And then we took our time, and we developed it into a film narrative. Because I didn't want to do it exactly as it was, but I wanted to give it a more like a modern touch. So the parallels between the nowadays world and the world 90 years ago would sort of resonate between each other.
Okay, so you would like take an old already existing story and try to like modernize it a little bit, maybe.
A little bit, like
a little bit.
It's also complicated because how he wrote it. It was for a different audience, and it was for a book reader, and it's quite difficult to visualize internal emotions. So we tried to find a way how to still tell the same story, but how to show it in a way that would kind of make the audience feel the same emotions that the main character is going through.
Okay, the story mainly is about two lovers, if we can say it that way, Rudolf and Irma. And they are played by Estonian actors Maid and Caroline Jürise, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and did you knew straight away that you would want them to be the characters, or you had some kind of casting? Because, I mean, there needs to be this certain type of chemistry between these two characters. So what was the process like?
Oh, honestly, I don't believe in chemistry, because if you have professional actors, they're very well able to play chemistry. But the process went like this. So first of all, Rudolf, we didn't cast. We had the idea that Maid should play him, and I just met with him. We had some afternoon coffee, and because I didn't have a script at that moment yet, so I just told him what I want to do with the story, and he was interested in playing this character, so we kind of went with this. But for Irma, mostly out of my ignorance, I didn't know exactly who should play it. So for this character, we did a casting process. We saw a lot of very talented young Estonian actresses, but Caroline, sort of from the first moment, got the kind of character the way that I wanted to portray this character. So I found in her this something that I was kind of searching for, because it's quite difficult to play this descent into madness in a believable and small way without like overdoing it. And it's also quite difficult to play a character that starts off from this kind of childish or how do you say not so confident place, and then end up in a more like distant and not approachable place. So it's a difficult thing to play, and she kind of embodied it from the first moment.
Okay, but the film takes us back to 1933. So how did you create this authentic atmosphere?
Well, I wasn't so concerned with the atmosphere because I didn't want to make it into a spectacle of era. I wanted it to feel sort of timeless. So that's why we kind of course, it's more or less historically correct with the furniture and costumes and everything, but at the same time, I wasn't so concerned with the historical correctness. We were more trying to create a world where this story could kind of take place in. And one of the key things that we started doing is that we started scouting the locations while we were still writing the script in order to be able to do like a nice atmospheric story without a very big budget where we couldn't build everything, but we needed to kind of search for places that were already existing.
Okay, but talking more about the script you had, I mean, Tammsaare had a tendency to write extremely long, although beautiful sentences. So how was it like to put the whole book in one film? I mean, you definitely have to leave out some titles because it would have been, I don't know, 1 day long movie if you want to take everything. So how long did it take to adapt the book, and what was the process like?
Well, we were on a quite tight schedule, so that meant that basically we had a little bit more than half a year for writing this film. But fortunately, my co-scriptwriter, Martin, he's very professional and extremely fast. So what we did is that for the first couple of months, we just talked about what we want to take from the book and what we don't want to, and how to kind of make this story flow in this short time space of a feature film. And we kind of plotted everything out on a wall, and then we did like a live presentation storytelling for the producers. So they were sitting there and we were telling them the story, and from there we got the green light for the film. And then we started writing the script, which was also like, it was done in a very intense way, but it was okay because it was two of us doing it, so we could kind of bounce off each other. Because usually when you're writing a script, you need more time just to take breaks and reflect, because you lose your subjectivity of what's good and what's not. After a while of being intensely inside something. So, but as it was two of us, then we could kind of do it between us. So I would comment and Martin would comment, and so we would kind of do this back and forth. And and at the same time, as we were doing pre-production while we were writing the script, which was driving everybody crazy, but because a lot of like colored pages, ended up because we started already pre-production. So I had also my cinematographer and my production designer and my editor, which is very important for me to start the post-production also while we were preparing. They would also comment on the story and offer ideas, and so we could rewrite, and we kept on rewriting until we actually went to the shoot. And also the actors came in, so with the reading with the actors we would adjust the dialogue, for example, and stuff like that. So a little bit more than half a year.
Okay, then it's quite fast. I mean, we have had here filmmakers whose like whole process was like, I don't know, 7 years long. So, I mean, you were quite fast.
Yeah, I'm intense, so I do things fast.
I mean, it's good. But talking again more about the storyline of the film, it mainly focuses on the relationship between Rudolf and Irma. But for you, what were maybe like the key moments of this relationship that you really wanted to highlight for the audience?
Well, without spoiling anything, relationship like that are a very complicated thing, and this story is about the toxic romance that comes from an unfair power balance, and there's a lot of manipulation inside it, and this is something that has in different forms happened to me myself during my short-lived life, and I think one of the things that I've learned myself is that if you don't know how manipulation works, then it's very difficult to recognize it, and telling stories that show manipulation I think is very important, because it gives the audience a moment to reflect and see this in the works. So it's easier for them to also recognize it in their own life. And I'm not saying that this is one of the things that we wanted to do with this story, is that we didn't want Rudolf's character to be this evil villain, because he's not doing it on purpose. It's something that you kind of learn from the society, you learn from your parents. Usually people who behave like that, they're not doing it, I want to be like, I want to hurt you. It's because they think that this is a normal way to behave. And in order to break these cycles, it's important to kind of show these cycles to people, so they could kind of take it in and then think about how they are behaving or how they are letting other people behave towards them.
Yeah, so it definitely is psychologically like struggling story. Everything isn't so clear all the way. Love isn't always so easy and beautiful. So you mentioned that you even saw some kind of similarities with your own life, but I don't know how much do you know about Tammsaare's life, but do you believe that Tammsaare's novel may reflect aspects of his own life also?
Well, it's quite difficult to say. I do know some stories, but as you know, it's like I don't want to gossip about Tammsaare. But Tammsaare actually had a very interesting romantic life. So if I remember correctly, his wife put up an advertising in a newspaper at some point saying that they are engaged when they weren't engaged.
Yes, and they're gonna marry.
Yeah. So and I do know that his wife was also like a very interesting character, and he consulted with her when he was writing. So, but I'm not an expert, and I wasn't there, so I don't know how much of it is true or not.
Yeah, of course, understandable. But with this big project, what for you as a director was the biggest challenge with making this film?
As everybody would answer, the budget. Well, because we didn't have a lot of budget. So, but I come from advertising background. So one of the things that I know how to do is I can make a lot out of nothing. So we planned the shooting in a way that we could take maximum out of our resources. So we only could afford like 18 shooting days, which is very, very fast for a 2-hour feature film. That's historical. But we kind of managed around it. So I did a lot of rehearsals with the actors, some of them in real locations. And if we didn't have the real locations, then we kind of took tape and put them on the studio floor, and some furniture that was kind of marking things. And so when we arrived on the set, everybody knew exactly what we're going to do. And it was actually a good thing that we did it, because that also gave a little bit more comfort to the actors, because they could mentally prepare, so we weren't kind of inventing while we were shooting when the pressure is high. And I guess it's also like, because we didn't have an intimacy coordinator, and we had some scenes that were intimate, so it was difficult for me to kind of direct them, because I didn't want to kind of hurt anybody with this. And we had some scenes with leeches, for example. So kind of managing around that, and kind of taking the time to talk to the actors and agreeing on everything that we're doing, and these types of things were the hardest. But I think the main thing was that actually it wasn't difficult to do because all of the people that were working on the film are people that I trust and who I've kind of come up with from film school and first jobs in production. So I kind of trusted my team, and everybody was like working really hard towards a common goal. So it was lovely, and we had fun while we were doing it.
Okay, it's good to hear. But when you finally saw the final product or the final movie, what emotions did you experience?
Well. There was never a moment where I saw a final product because I've been there every step of the way, and including like at some point I was doing English subtitles for this film. But you know, I'm never happy with anything, and there's always, you know, you kind of, if you're doing something, you always feel that this could have been done better, this could have been done better, but at some point you just run out of time, and you have to kind of be happy with what you have. And it's also, I think, the worst, because I don't have a problem with doing the film. What I do have a problem with, that's very difficult for me, is showing the film to the audience, because you're basically like stripping yourself bare in front of people, and but luckily everybody, nobody has told me anything bad. Everybody has given me only good feedback. But yeah, that's I think the most hardest thing to do is that moment when the audience sees it.
Okay, and just to wrap it all up, when I read this little description about your film, there was this one quote or sentence that love is for fools and children. So, I don't know, what do you feel about this sentence? Do you still believe in love? Or is there, I don't know, a little bit truth in this thought?
This is a very, how do you say, I do believe in love, but I don't believe in love maybe in such a romantic way as I used to. I do believe in love in a way that it's something that you need to kind of work for. It's not something that appears out of thin air, but it's a process of taking the time and the effort of taking care of people who are around you without expecting anything in return. So it's more, for me, love is more of a mindset rather than like this powerful feeling which is mostly made out of hormones and chemicals.
Okay. Thank you for sharing all these beautiful thoughts with us. I hope audience of Black Nights Film Festival will love your film, will like the work you have done. So thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
And for you, my dear viewers, thank you again for turning back to PÖFF TV, and we hope to see you back exactly next time. Thank you for watching us.